course, would be how did you decide to tackle what is obviously a super controversial issue, and what was your goal in sort of making the project?
It kind of just happened. So Greg I've known for a very long time, and he shared with me the idea for a race on Memorial Day weekend, and I was taken by it, I was moved by it, I kind of visually saw it, and I had a week to decide, so I was like, I'm making a movie. And it happened really fast, and I think I didn't have time to really think about the topic and how daunting it was. I never thought I was going to make a documentary, so it was just kind of like, here we go.
And so you had Greg. So how did you hear about Cody? Cody, how did you get in touch? I mean, how did you respond to being in touch with Jessica and sort of participating in the project, deciding to participate in the project?
Greg actually introduced me to the idea of the Liberator. That the first weekend we, the first weekend that we were filming, he said, "By the way, did you hear about this?" And I said, "No." And then I was like, And so I immediately started looking Cody up and called him.
Yes.
But he didn't want to talk to me.
It was a back and forth. I don't know, but she has a very winning way about her, and we talked about it, and she said she meant to make this documentary, and though not in as many words, she communicated that it would be humane and would be to her best purpose objective, and I was interested in being a part, so I did.
If I can ask both Greg and Cody, so now you've seen the film, and I don't mean to sort of pit you against each other necessarily oppositionally, but just, I guess I asked Cody, sort of seeing the film, what is your impression of a race?
I think it's noble in its artistic intentions. I think successful in evoking the correct pathos. I think I even heard people moved in the audience. I don't want to trivialize it in any way, but there's a certain evil genius in objects and images, and that ghostly remainder of that gun was very telling. It was the image fighting back. To me, it was kind of a reification of what I see as like a liberal syndrome, of this syndrome of repentance, this need to go back and correct and erase, whitewash our history, which embarrasses us. Instead of thinking of the artifact as a bridge to something, we would rather just forget about it than embarrasses us. And this is an attempt at tapping into that syndrome of repentance. And the object has a way of fighting back. Look at how it was telescoped onto the screen of each of your brains. You know, it didn't die at all, it was multiplied. My thoughts.
Thanks.
Well, when Jessica approached me, first I was like, no, I didn't want to be photographed. I thought, what if it sucks? You know, I mean it doesn't work. And then, you know, you did say at the beginning, you know, this it might just be a small little film, and I'm like, that's gonna be really boring. It's just me. And that's when I started thinking, you know, I mean, I really truly, the power of Cody's piece. It's very, I mean, I think just to approach this from an artistic standpoint and not from an activist standpoint, I mean, I entered the debate as an artist.
Right.
Cody entered it as an ideologist and created like a more brilliant piece of artwork than I did, if you really want to like grade it, you know? I mean, it was powerful. I mean, it was like uncompromising, all those things. And you know, I hope there aren't any consequences involved with making that are negative consequences. I do agree with a lot of your ideology when it comes to government control and whatnot. So I see the power in it, and there's probably a lot we have in common. But it was a powerful piece.
You know, usually liberty and safety are pitted against each other. And you either, I think it's a bit of a false, you know, a false argument to just hit that tension. Can you optimize that?
I'll jump in. Well, one of the nagging things for me are the recurrent binaries of the current gun control debate. Let's call it gun control. I know that we've had a formal renewal. It's called gun safety and smart guns, and common gun sense, you know, whatever. But I just mean gun control as a handle, okay? The binary is about liberty versus safety, the common civil liberty dialogue that we're familiar with, I guess, for a couple hundred years now. For me, there's been this overemphasis. So I think even liberty is like a facile solution. This is like in the work of Jean Baudrillard. Liberty for what? Safe to do what? These are only kind of intermediary positions. I know that I'm like careening off into the abstract almost immediately here, but like in the work of Nietzsche, I mean, we need to plan for the transpolitical. What is to come after? But certainly, I think it's not productive to just try to contain in stasis the forms that we have now. I'm not saying everyone should be a revolutionary, but what pained me about the film, what pained me about the current debate is how middle class it is in its ethics, how thoroughly dedicated it is to preserving the debate as just a commercial products liability question. I mean, this is to evacuate it of all political and ideological import. What's so interesting to me is even the hard ideologues of the 60s in gun control, who were like, at least would tell you to your face, I need to take guns away from you, as like a political point of decision, are now getting billionaire Republican money to tell you, well, we need to make guns safer. They've even given up that position. So it's like the debate might seem that it's reaching new apogees or whatever in intensity, but in fact, it's been almost dispossessed of all ideological content. I just want to look beyond it. Let's just peek a bit beyond, and let's admit that these guns are instruments of decision. I'm not a decision maker. I'm not a decisionist. I'm just saying these are. Look at Novorossiya. Look at the Islamic State. You can't argue that small arms, military-grade weapons, aren't instruments, and that arms struggle as a category isn't a valid category to consider, especially in extreme times. The final thing I'll say, I don't mean to monopolize, is I believe the world is doomed to extreme phenomena. I don't believe that we're going to reach the commanding heights of democratic liberal capitalism for the rest of the rest of all time. Okay, none of you do either. So you can consider armed struggle as a category of ideological opportunity. That's all I'm willing to offer.
I think what the film does so well is bring together many different voices, and Cody, as you said, in a really humane way.
It seems that.
Do you think that there is a possibility, and this, I'm posing this to all of the people who were filmed, and actually to Jess as well if we've got time, for some kind of progress or understanding or coming together on these issues or cheering each other? Do you think there's value in that? Is it possible to have a conversation that doesn't just miss each other completely or just devolve into incivility?
I mean, I fear it's a little bit like religion, you know. I mean, it's you believe. I mean, it's like, you know, a Hindu trying to convert a Catholic, you know, vice versa. I don't know, just to a certain degree. It's sort of like, I just think guns are designed to kill things, and so, you know, it's like, but like it kills a lot of people. So I just think that they need to be hugely regulated. It's as simple as that.
I think it's actually more practical than that. I think we have taken products like automobiles and cigarettes, we've regulated them to protect health and safety. If you look at cars and what we've done since the 1960s, auto deaths have plummeted in this country dramatically, and that wasn't magic. That was because we regulated cars for safety. Seatbelts, safety glass, airbags. We have better highways, better lighting, driver training, laws against drinking and driving. I could go on and on and on. And as a result of those measures, looking at the problem and trying to reduce death and injury from motor vehicles, you took a holistic public health approach and attacked it from various angles. Product safety, regulation, driver education, public education. And as a result, deaths declined. Do people still die in auto accidents? Yes, but not to the same degree that they used to. So the same could happen for gun violence. Because we have so many guns, we're always going to have gun violence. But we can certainly do a lot to get it down by taking that same kind of holistic approach, looking at the product itself, you know, trying to make it safer, loaded chamber indicators, smart gun technology, licensing of gunners, like you have to be a licensed driver of a car, insurance. There are lots of things that can be done, and we know what these tools are. But the gun industry has put a gag on research, so the government since 1996 doesn't have any data. We can't collect data. The CDC's been barred from researching gun violence as a public health issue. And so without good data and analysis, it's hard to design good policies because you're not exactly sure what it is you're trying to address. We do have some data, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. And the reason they've done that, the NRA, Congress did their bidding, passing this law,
is because they know that. They know that good policy comes from data, from analysis. And in the absence of that, there's no policy.
I mean, you know, like the daily serial, it's True Lies of Technocracy. I mean, wow, the squabbles that the administrative state has with, you know, the left and the right argue about data collection. So I play both sides of the table on these things. Did that talk sound a lot like disciplinary capital to you talking? I mean, it's basically the concerns of the smooth function of the workforce. The nightmare scenario is that something might interrupt our productive and consumption habits. Look, what I did to also foreclose the possibility of any of this being meaningfully resolved, because look, I'm a bit spiteful. We started a thing called the Ghost Gunner Project. It's done $1 million in sales since 1 month ago. And what does it do? It's an automatic machine which automatically mills an 80% lower into 100% lower on an AR-15 semi-automatic assault rifle for you. And so, in the comfort of your own home, outside of the traditionally delineated means of commerce, those channels, those sites, those nostalgic sites of enclosure and observation that we're all squabbling about over here, I've given you the ability to produce an infinite amount of these rifles outside of the all-seeing eye of the state. You're going to have it. I'm shipping them in December. I'm shipping 500 in December. I'll ship 500 in January. I'll ship 1,000 in February. Do you understand what's happening here? This is done for free. These aren't serialized machines. This is done outside of commerce and the FFL network and any of the federally mandated statutes that are enforced by the NFA and the GCA. It is completely unarticulated, unlegislated, the free production of an assault rifle by you in the privacy of your own home. I mean, we're talking carte blanche. Understand the stakes of what's happening. You've got a whole hell of a hill to climb. And I invite you to climb.
So we're ready to announce it.
So,
I think you
unfortunately,
actually did. You said it's not possible.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what I heard.
There won't be resolution, right? The empire of the good will not win. All right, we're in the age of the intelligence of evil.
Actually, there was a referendum in Washington State during the recent election, and the people voted directly on whether they wanted background checks, and guess what? They won.
Gun control got its ass kicked in this election, didn't it, guys? Did you see all those red state conservatives that took the state legislatures? Yeah, we're gonna have a whole epic of gun control real soon. Just send your money in.
Tragically, you know what might happen is there might have to be an accident with one of these 3D printed guns, a real massacre, to get people to act. So.
And then how would you feel?
I'm
You feel something that you create.
That's an emotivist question. I accept those. I accept that.
How would
Do you understand that I accept that? Do you understand that?
As a creator,
Let me teach liberals how to be good liberals, all right? You like a civil liberty? That means you believe in its protection because it has social costs, not because it's free and easy. Oh yeah, I love the First Amendment. Why does it deserve protection? Because of the terrible things that can happen. Why does the Second Amendment deserve protection? It's in the Bill of Rights. It's a structural element of the civil liberties of being a freeholder in these United States. It deserves protection because something can be done badly with it. Being serious about civil liberties means tolerating that there are social costs that come with these civil liberties. I don't even like liberal talk, but come on. I don't want to teach liberals to be good liberals. Let's keep up.
Actually, the founding of our nation, the only people who could own guns were white men. Slaves couldn't have them. Catholics couldn't have them. Vagrants couldn't have them. We've always had gun laws in this country.
We passed the
Always.
14th Amendment after slavery. All rights in the Bill of Rights were incorporated through that 14th Amendment and held against the states as establishing individual rights as articulated in the Bill of Rights to all individuals. We're not living the past anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We're living after the Civil War. We're living after the 14th Amendment. All rights in the Bill of Rights are incorporated against the states to the individual. We're living in the present. Welcome to the future.
so on that note, unfortunately, we do have to wrap things up. I encourage you to, well, congratulations.